Sky News has gotten footage at the moment that a cargo ship crashed into a tanker in the North Sea on Monday. Well, this footage taken from another ship that was at anchor show the Solong on the left colliding with the Stena Immaculate, an oil tanker carrying aviation fuel destined for the US Navy. Now, one crew member of the Solong is missing, presumed dead. The ship's captain, a 59-year-old, has been arrested on suspicion of gross negligence manslaughter. Well, let's bring in our correspondent Fraser Maud for more on this, joining us live from Grimsby. And Fraser, looking at these pictures that Sky News has been able to obtain, the moment of impact there as the Solong strikes the Stena Immaculate.
Yeah, and what we can see on the footage there is the actual moment of impact. That's on an infrared feed, an infrared camera captured by a lookout unit mounted on another tanker, which was berthed as the Stena Immaculate was waiting to either offload or take on a load. The footage comprises two videos. One is that infrared version. The other version, which is on the left-hand side of the image, shows the actual normal vision camera. Effectively, it shows just how foggy the situation was, how the fog may well have prevented the crew of the Solong from seeing the Stena Immaculate through the human eye. It's only through that infrared feed that you can see that there is a clear indication of the Solong moving in from the left. Quite slowly, it appears, but then the moment of impact and the explosion as it breaches the tank with the aviation fuel in it, which has caused such environmental concerns. That video footage comes to us from Orca AI, and it just shows the difficulty of the conditions at the time.
Certainly does, Fraser. And the conditions at the time, as you'll remember, visibility was good, occasionally poor, according to the shipping forecasts. The sea state was smooth or slight, but we can see from that footage there that's on the left just quite how foggy it was on that day. And I guess this will go into some of it'll be used by the investigators as they're continuing to try and work out just how this will have happened, because of course it's worth remembering the Stena Immaculate was at anchor, as you say, taking on more cargo, carrying that jet fuel for the US Navy, and the Solong was on its way to Rotterdam from Scotland.
That's right. I mean, you would expect that shipping would have equipment to enable them to see through such fog. Obviously, they have radar equipment, sonar equipment. They are bristling with the latest electronic devices in order to navigate the very busy North Sea safely, even if actual, the vision to the human eye was restricted by fog, then there should still have been equipment on board to prevent such a collision happening. That will obviously form part of the investigation by the marine accident investigators. They will have details from the black boxes on board both of those vessels to indicate exactly what they were doing, what was happening on those vessels at the time. And we know that we've been saying earlier today about how the Solong had actually failed what's effectively a seaworthiness MOT, which the vessels such as the Solong have to undergo, in its case, at least once every year. Effectively an MOT testing that the ships, that the vessels are seaworthy. They're called port state control certificates, as I say, effectively an MOT. And when the Solong has had 3 of those in the last 12 months, it only needs to have one by law once a year. When it was tested in July last year in Dublin, it showed that there were problems with the emergency steering position communications and compass reading, which wasn't readable. That's a secondary piece of steering equipment that's in the steering room, which would only be brought into effect when the steering from the bridge equipment fails. That was amongst 10 deficiencies, though, that were highlighted during the inspection of the vessel in Dublin. Other issues being alarms that were inadequate, survival craft not properly maintained, fire doors not as required. Another inspection by Scottish authorities in Grangemouth in October last year found 2 deficiencies in the Solong. One of those related to life buoys, which are designed to be thrown into the water to prevent drowning. Those were not properly marked. But these are minor fails, effectively, if you were thinking of it in car MOT terms. The Solong was not detained after those inspections. It was clearly made seaworthy and allowed to leave Grangemouth and Dublin. Erstros have since confirmed this afternoon that all deficiencies that were detected during routine port state control inspections back in 2024 were promptly rectified. That's attributable to Erstros, who've been giving us more details today as to what's happening in terms of the salvage operation out at sea. They've confirmed that the operational response to fully extinguish the fire and stabilise the Solong is continuing. They say that it had separated from the tanker and drifted south, that there was fire activity on board the vessel yesterday, but it has diminished since then, although the vessel does continue to emit smoke with occasional reports of flames. And salvage and marine firefighting craft remain on scene and remain engaged as they try and bring those fires and that smouldering wreckage under control completely. Erstros say that they are effectively engaging with all parties as they work to maintain responder safety, to mitigate impacts to the marine environment and to recover the vessel.
Absolutely. And Fraser, as we're talking, we are looking at the latest pictures that we have of the Stena Immaculate. As you say, the fire on board that particular vessel, according to Crowley, who run the ship, has greatly diminished. They say there's no visible flames. It's stationary at anchor, they say, and is being monitored by Crowley representatives. There were 23 crew on board the Stena Immaculate. All 23 of those got off. 14 crew on board the Solong. One person is missing, presumed dead, and one person who believed to be the captain of the Solong has been arrested on suspicion of gross negligence manslaughter. But looking at those the footage that we have, Fraser, it's quite clear, isn't it, just how tricky the conditions will have been despite all of the technology that both vessels will have had on board.
Yeah, I think it seems to be visibility to the naked eye that seems to be the main issue. The sea was relatively calm, the wind speeds relatively low, as they have been today, but even when it is relatively calm or looks relatively calm from the shore, those waters can be very choppy. Obviously, it's towards the mouth of the Humber estuary. There can be various currents and turbulence in areas such as that, but ships of this size, of this magnitude, should really have the equipment on board to enable them to navigate these waters safely, be it in the middle of the night in the pitch black or in thick, dense fog. You mentioned there the captain of the vessel. He's a Russian national, as we now know. The remaining crew on board the Solong are Russian or Filipino nationals. We know that the 59-year-old was arrested on suspicion of gross negligence manslaughter. Humberside police say that they continue to question him and are following a number of lines of inquiry. They're taking the lead in the criminal investigation. In terms of the maritime investigation, that's being carried out by the Marine Accident Investigation Branch, and no doubt they will be looking at the black box recorders on both of those vessels. They'll want to get details or at least try and get access to the captain to ask him questions as to exactly what was happening on board the Solong, which prompted it to, from what we can see on the video there, drive into what was a stationary vessel, and a very large stationary vessel at that.